It's a privilege to have with me Dr. Ioannis Ktistakis. He's here. He is the legal advisor to the ecumenical patriarch. He is a professor in Istanbul. He's a professor in Greece, and he's taken the time to be with me to just talk a few minutes. Nice to see you again.
Thank you for the invitation.
You and I met several years ago in Brussels, so I'd like to go back a little bit in time with you, come to today's time as well. Tell us about what was happening back then, what has happened, because I know some things have changed since then. Actually, things have gotten better in some areas, maybe worse in others. Can you go back in time with us a little bit?
Yes, back to 2010, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, from 2010 until today, there are some positive steps, more positive steps concerning the properties of the Greek Orthodox Foundation. And when I mean property, I mean the incomes, the daily incomes for these properties in order to restore the churches and also for the social benefits of the 2,500 believers, Greek Orthodox believers, members of the minority in Fener. This return of properties is a very important, realistic, let's say, step for the survival of the minority. This is the first positive step. The second positive step is that more and more there is the adoption by the, not by the high level, but let's say by the public opinion makers of the ecumenical status of the patriarchate. This is also very important for the status of the patriarch in Turkey.
And for our listeners who don't know that, the ecumenical patriarch is not recognized as the ecumenical patriarch. What is his official title, let's say, in Istanbul? How do they refer to him?
Patriarch, that means the patriarch of the Greek Orthodox minority. But this started the last 3 years to change, and there are many, let's say, significant steps. Not officials, but this doesn't come from one day to another. I can say that in the last reception of the King of Norway in Istanbul, there was an official reception, and the President of Turkey, Gül, was present there, and the Patriarch was announced as the ecumenical patriarchate by both the Norwegians responsible and the Turkish responsible before all the officials. That's, I think, it's a very important step in the media and the public opinion. A third important step, even if we don't have real news, but it's important, it's the reception of the information that it's possible that Chalki will reopen. There was a discussion every day during September if Chalki will reopen, what is the Chalki seminary and everything.
And
where the Turkish media.
Okay, that's right.
And they were all in favor. All the public make opinion were in favor. Journalists, they are in favor. Not only the journalists that are here present in our conference, all the journalists. There was no negative position by the media. And this also, in my view, reflects a new approach, a positive approach for the Chalki seminary. Okay. But to the other side, let's say, there are still problems. Chalki is not reopened until now. Okay, there is a positive.
It's been closed for 40 some odd years.
40 years, yes. The churches, two churches in the center of Istanbul were not returned to the patriarchs. They are still under the, let's say, under the Turkish authorities, and there are very important churches in the center of, near the port of Galata, in the center of Istanbul. There is always the problem of the legal personality of the ecumenical patriarchate. And I think that the next month, the patriarch and the ecumenical patriarchate has to address to the courts, to the Turkish courts, concerning the recognition of the legal personality of the ecumenical patriarchate. It's a very important issue. Some speakers have already referred to this problem.
They have,
Yes, and in my view, these 3.5 years from our first meeting in Brussels, there are positive steps, but the situation before 2010 was very, very bad for a European state like Turkey, because I believe that Turkey belongs to Europe. If Ukraine or Russia belong to Europe, I cannot feel that Turkey is outside the Europe or is half in Europe and half in Asia. And my standards, the European standards, are high for all the European states.
Now, did you grow up in Istanbul? Did you grow up in Greece?
No, I grew up in Greece. I don't have any origin from Istanbul, but it was in 2004 when the Ecumenical Patriarchate asked me and my professor, Dr. Alevizatos, and a Turkish colleague, Professor Sekmar, both the three, to defend the case of the orphanage in Princess Island before the European Court of Human Rights. And from 2004 until today, and from 2009, I'm the only legal advisor of the Ecumenical Patriarchate, and I have the responsibility for all the legal action of the Ecumenical Patriarchate and all the legal issues of the Ecumenical Patriarchate.
I have a question for you. This morning we were listening to one of the young speakers. She was from Turkey. She may have been, I don't think she's Orthodox, I don't think so. But she was mentioning that a lot of the properties over time were churches. Then they became museums because they fell into disrepair. And the people left them, and therefore they became barns and different things like that. And I thought back in my history, I think I took some history, and I don't think people left their homes. I think they were forcibly pushed out of their homes. And therefore they became empty, and some churches actually became barns in order to desecrate them. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you have right, and this is the position also for the Ecumenical Patriarchate. A place of worship cannot be a bar. It can be a museum. Yes, we can discuss this. It can be a monument, recognized as a monument, the construction, the building, but the place, the ground, but not a bar. This is a problem, and I can say that the protection of religious memory, the protection of the memories in Istanbul and in every town of Turkey will be our next big, let's say, campaign, legal campaign.
I was in Istanbul several years ago. I came over with a team of college students. We did a college break, real break it's called. And I went with the Ecumenical Patriarch. We went to one of the cemeteries and we redid the cemetery. We cleaned it, we raked it, we put the tombstones back. We literally found bones that were out of graves, and we put them back in the graves, and we did a trisagion there with them, a prayer service. And as I look at that, I say, the history of the Orthodox people in Istanbul is phenomenal. And the Patriarch said, one of his talks is, we're not leaving Istanbul. We're not leaving Constantinople. It's our home. Turkey is our home. Turkey is a country that we love. And we want to be able to be here and just worship as we choose to worship. Don't bother us, we don't bother you. Something to that effect. My words are much simpler than the Ecumenical Patriarch, of course.
Well, to say the truth, there were many returns the last 2 years of cemeteries or other religious use, buildings for religious use, not place of worship, as I said, but really there were some important returns of cemeteries in Istanbul and in Ivros.
That's good to hear. Finally, let's look to the future. We're here at the Second Religious Freedom Conference. We're in Berlin, the Berlin Wall. We know all the symbolism there, very real symbolism. This country went through tremendous difficulty where a wall was literally put up in the middle of the night and thousands of people were separated from their family. We're talking now about a different issue, but there is the hint of the symbolism of what the ecumenical patriarchate is going through. Look to the future. Tell us some of the challenges, some of maybe your dreams that you see coming true in the near future.
My dream is the reopening of the Kharkiv Seminary. It's a fundamental human right, a fundamental component of freedom of religion to be able to educate your clergy, your people, your believers. And I think that this is the next important step for the ecumenical patriarchate. This is my priority, and I will work from now on with all my forces for this. I think it's very important. I don't believe that the Turkish authorities will let's say, offer this right to us. We will win this right. We will fight for this, and we will win. This is our right. These are the words of the ecumenical patriarchate. This is right to have the reopening of the Kharkiv seminar as soon as possible.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.